So this slideshow review is just for anyone that was absent, virtual students, and just anybody that needs an extra review about our opening slides for bacteria. So we talked about just what the meaning of microbiology is. Micro means small, biology is the study of life. So normally we just need something like a microscope to be able to view these organisms. And really at the high school level, some of the bacteria are even hard to see. So we're going to try our best with the world of microbiology to see what we can observe and learn about them. We talked about the fact that there are 2 domains devoted to bacteria. Remember, the third is for all other organisms like animals, plants, and fungi, so on. So domain archaea, kind of the common name you need to link with that is that they are the extreme bacteria. So they live in areas where usually it seems like nothing else can live. So really like low pH levels, a really acidic area, really high salt concentrations, or extremely hot areas like volcanic vents. It wasn't until recently that scientists really started looking in those areas and realizing that some bacteria have adaptations that allow them to survive. So that's what domain archaea is all about. The other domain is just domain bacteria. So these are all of the bacteria that we've kind of known about for many, many years. They could be beneficial to us as humans. They could be harmful to us as humans. So we'll talk about really the differences between those domains as we get further into bacteria. Regardless, both domains are prokaryotic. So that means that we don't see genetic material bound by a nuclear membrane. They also don't have any of the membrane-bound organelles that we talked about in Biology 1. So there's no Golgi or mitochondria or endoplasmic reticulum. It just has some really basic cell parts, which we're going to point out in this diagram. So if we kind of start toward the outside, we have 3 main layers to the bacteria cell. The outermost layer would be the capsule. That tends to be very sticky and just allows the bacteria cell to attach to a surface. So you can think as an example of like plaque on your teeth, how that's kind of sticky and it hardens. That's because of the capsules on the bacteria cells. The cell wall would be the second layer going into the bacteria, and that's what helps to maintain the shape of the bacteria cell. So we can see that this bacteria is rod-shaped or kind of like in a pill form, and that's due to the fact that the cell wall is maintaining that shape. The innermost layer is the plasma membrane. Again, that goes all the way around the cell, and it is like the gatekeeper of the cell. So it will control what moves in and out of the bacteria cell, regulating waste and needed resources. The cytoplasm is the fluid, which we see in blue, and that also helps to maintain the shape. So it just exerts pressure against the plasma membrane, the cell wall, and the capsule. And it just contains some dissolved chemicals. So when chemical reactions need to happen, the cytoplasm is just like a big pool of chemicals that the cell can draw upon and perform those reactions. The tiniest little dots are the ribosomes. They're small, but they're definitely needed to make proteins. So anytime this bacteria cell just needs to reconstruct itself, it's through the help of those ribosomes and proteins. The proteins also make enzymes, which make these chemical reactions in the bacteria cell go more quickly than without having them. In the center, we have kind of the main character, which is either DNA or RNA. So some kind of genetic material. Realize, again, it's not bound by a nucleus. It just kind of floats around on the inside of the cell. So if anything gets into that bacteria cell, it could possibly just directly destroy that DNA or RNA. Moving toward the outside of the cell, we have these short little extensions that are pronounced pili. Those pili are like little fingers that can penetrate down into a host cell, and it just allows a better grip besides having just a sticky capsule. To the right, we have this really long tail, which is the flagellum. This just kind of whips back and forth and it kind of spins around. So it's a very undirected movement for the bacteria cell, but it's one way that it can get around. A second way that the bacteria cell can move is using short little hairs called cilia. You would recognize those because they're all over the outside of the bacteria cell and they're shorter than the pili. On this next slide, I listed all of the different functions that I kind of covered on the picture before. The only addition that we didn't put on our picture was the plasmid. So you'll see that on letter G. The plasmid just provides antibiotic resistance. So not all bacteria cells are going to have a plasmid, but if they have obtained one from another bacteria cell, it's just a way that they can defend themselves, without having their cell walls and cell membranes destroyed. So it's just an extra route of survival. Okay, so if you have any questions over the structure or the functions, just give me an email and I will do my best to answer your questions. Thanks.